Welcome back, listeners of the EterniCat Podcast. Today we're interviewing Ardeshir Farah, a world-renowned guitarist and musician. Welcome to the EterniCat Podcast. How are you?
I'm good, Alessandro. I'm glad to be here.
I know that there have been many riots in Iran, and I hope things get better soon.
Yeah, the riots started from the beginning of 2026. The main problem is the huge economical problem in Iran, major inflation going on, and people are extremely unhappy, and they're under the tyranny of a very, very brutal government that's killing people mercilessly. And it's a very bad situation. So being from Iran, I think about that and I'm involved with that, even though I don't live in Iran, but it's a very bad situation, and we're in touch every day and hope that a change will take place and things will get better.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get into the questions. You're known for blending Persian musical traditions with Latin music and jazz harmonies. What first inspired you to bring those worlds together?
Well, I'm partners with a great guitar player, Jorge Stranz, and the name of our group is Stranz and Farah, and we've been together since 1979. We met in 1979 and started recording in 1980. And the love for Latin music is something that I've had from childhood. Latin music and flamenco music, which is guitar music from Spain. And flamenco music naturally has Middle Eastern elements in it. So being a flamenco music aficionado, a part of that interest was natural. And when I met Jorge Stranz, he had similar interests. And we started working together, and it's been about, what is it, 47 years since 1979 that we've been doing this. So that's what instigated it.
Okay. I almost forgot. This is my cat Beiju. So from now from now on, she's going to be joining all of our podcasts. She's going to be like our guest star. She's like the inspiration for all of my projects. You know, the EterniCat Podcast, my books, Life of the Time Cat, and so from now on, she's going to be joining us. Okay.
It's the first time I've had a cat interview in my interviews. What's her name?
Beiju.
Beiju.
Bijou.
Yeah, that's nice. Hey, Beiju.
So that was my cat Beiju. She's a little bit nervous because it's her first podcast. It's her first time. Anyways, so let's get back to the questions. Thinking back to when you first picked up the guitar, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced, and how did they help shape your sound?
Well, every step of learning the guitar is a big challenge. Making the guitar sound right from the time that you pick it up for the first time is a challenge. And then from there on, every step, learning chords, playing melodies, learning scales is a challenge. And once you achieve them, it's very gratifying.
So the last part of the question was, and how did they help shape your sound?
What helps shape your sound is your interest in what music you listen to and what guitar player you like. That's what really shapes your sound. And then once you find yourself and your direction and your concept, those present new challenges. And every time you achieve and go over one of those challenges, your sound gets shaped as you move along.
Hmm. Yeah, I know. I I have a lot of bands that I find interesting. I like Kansas. I like Deep Purple, and so what are some bands that inspired you?
Some of the very same bands. When I picked up the guitar, I was 10 years old. But a couple of years after that, the rock movement in England became big. People like Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton became very famous, and that style of guitar playing traveled all over the world. And we got to hear it in Iran. So at that time, Jimi Hendrix was one of my favorite guitar players. And after a while, like I said in the beginning, my attention went to flamenco guitar coming out of Spain, which is a very specific Spanish style of guitar. So I would say Paco de Lucia, who's known as one of the best flamenco guitar players in the world, in that genre, in that style. I have many favorites. In that particular genre, I can name Paco de Lucia, Al Di Meola, and John McLaughlin.
Next question. Music and technology have evolved so much, from analog to digital, from records to streaming. How has that journey changed the way you approach making music today?
My approach to making music hasn't changed because of that. Not my approach to making music has not changed. Some people use AI for making instruments, for making drums, or having AI play instruments which are 100% against. That's not an art anymore. It's having a machine do it for you. And it hasn't changed my approach to making music. It has changed the business of music tremendously.
Hmm. Yeah. So what do you think about AI? Do you think it's just kind of a tool to help you cheat, or?
I think it's the most dangerous thing on the planet.
Yeah.
I really think so. I mean, it's evolving very fast. It's very expensive. It uses a lot of power. And some of the things that it does in music in particular are pretty surprisingly amazing. Like, it can simulate a person better than a person. And that's scary.
Hmm.
Pretty soon it'll be thinking better than people, and we're making decisions for people better than people. And it will decide one day it could decide that I can make a better decision for such and such country than the president,
Hmm.
and do weird things. I hope that day doesn't come.
Hmm. Yeah. So you played alongside so many incredible artists. What for you makes a musical collaboration truly click?
Well, what there's a couple of things, two things that are very important in making a collaboration click. The first one is the interest in the similar style of music. Two people that have interest in the same style, they can click easy, very easy. Like me and a flamenco guitar player can click very easy. Me and Jorge Strauss, my partner for 47 years now, we had a lot of the same interests in terms of music. So interest in the style of music is extremely important. And the second thing is technical level, uh, playability. They should be compatible. You can't click with somebody who's just started, like, who's only been playing the guitar for 2 years, for example. And, if you've been doing it for 30 years. So compatibility and the similar interest in styles of music.
Okay. So tell me more about your partner, Jorge Strunz. Why, like, how are you so compatible?
It's a very interesting question. I met him by accident. He was playing with a band called Caldera. It was signed up to Capitol Records back in late 70s, or actually mid 70s, at the Club Roxy. And I happened to go in that club that night completely by accident. And I saw this amazing, incredible guitar player who I had not heard of. And then 2 years later, we met by accident. One of my friends came from London and stayed with me for a couple of weeks. And he happened to have Jorge Stranz's number. So I looked in his book and I saw Jorge's numbers and asked my friend, hey, call him, let's go meet him. So we called Jorge, and Jorge was very nice. He invited us that afternoon. And we went there. We talked, him and I talked for like 2-3 hours, and discovered that we have a lot of similar interests in music. We like the same guitar players. We like the same guitar style. And then we picked up the guitars and started playing a piece that Jorge was working on. The piece is called Csárdas. It's a Hungarian gypsy piece. And he started playing it, saying that, I'm learning this piece. And I picked up another guitar and I harmonized it. And it became very obvious, like from that first meeting, that we have chemistry together.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is history.
Okay.
It's been 47 years, so it's a long story.
Mm-hmm. Wow, 47 years is a long time.
Yeah. He was born in Costa Rica and raised in different parts of the world because his father worked in the State Department. And I was born in Iran, like we said in the beginning of the interview. And I lived in England for 5 years and came to LA. Actually went to Boston in 1974 and came to LA in 1976. So we were from two opposite parts of the world, but we did meet in Los Angeles. And our music evolved in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. I see. Next question. These days, a lot of artists are also entrepreneurs. How do you find balance between the business side of things and staying true to your creative flow?
It's become extremely hard. It always was hard, but it's become even harder because with the streaming platform paying so little, the artists find that they have to tour more, spend a lot more time performing, which means traveling, booking airplanes and hotels, and going on the road. And that takes a lot of time away from being creative, sitting home, writing and recording music.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it's hurting creativity.
Uh-huh.
And the AI is very discouraging.
Yeah.
Many musicians may decide that they just don't want to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, we will lose a lot of good musicians and they will just not be making music anymore.
Yeah, I know. I know a lot of bands that, use that are like purely AI. So, yeah, I hope people are still motivated to keep making music.
Yeah, I see a lot of artists that complain about that. Like, on Spotify, somebody said that there's like fake artists on Spotify that are getting a lot of attention. The number one country song in the United States not too long ago was AI. That means that it was not a person, it was a machine.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how the other country artists feel about that. I would think it was extremely discouraging, to the point that some people may decide not to even bother with it anymore.
Next question. For young guitarists still searching for their voice, what's one piece of advice you wish someone had given you early on?
I would say originality and unique style is extremely important. And I think young musicians should find that in themselves and should look for it as early as possible. Obviously, when you begin to play an instrument, you play other people's music. You have to learn other tunes to get familiar with the instrument, with making a band. But the sooner you find a voice, the sooner you find your own original style and identity, the more successful you will be. Because that's the most important, originality. So that when they hear something, they go, Santana, Pink Floyd, Jimi Hendrix, just by the sound of the music.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're extremely original and their playing in music is recognizable like this.
Yeah. You've performed all over the world. Is there a particular performance or audience that stands out as truly magical or unforgettable?
That's a very interesting question because, yeah, we have performed all over the world with Ardeshir Farah. And in general, we get an extremely good reception from our audience. They've been extremely supportive, and at times probably the main reason why we continued, because we were getting negative responses from record companies back in the 80s, in all of the 80s, from 1980 to 1990 actually. And it was the audience responses, local audience responses, by that I mean Los Angeles, that really kept us going because it was very positive. They were extremely supportive. And then once we started touring the US, I found that the people in New York were very enthusiastic, even more appreciating, possibly maybe a little bit more appreciating than California and the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm.
We traveled to Costa Rica, I think 11 times, and played at the one of the main theaters in the capital called Melico Salazar in San Jose, the capital of Costa Rica. That audience was very, very expressive and supportive because of Jorge, who's a Costa Rican-born artist who'd made a name in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. I see.
So I do remember all of our shows in Costa Rica as being very special. Costa Rica more so than the rest of Latin America, but I love performing Latin America. But there was one incident in 1986 or 1987, after we did our third album. We were invited to the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland. And the owner of the festival, promoter of the festival, heard our record, the third record, and just liked it, and offered us very little money. But he said, come play the festival if you can put up the expenses. So we got some help, and we went to Switzerland, and me, Jorge, and a third guitar player performed at this amazing festival called Montreux Jazz Festival. Now, the night after us, Eric Clapton was performing on the same stage, and Phil Collins was playing drums for him. So Eric Clapton and Phil Collins were performing the night after. The next morning after our performance, the promoter called us and said, we would love for you guys, you, Jorge, and the third guitar player, to play for Eric Clapton and Phil Collins in a living room in an afternoon.
Oh,
And I thought, wow, Eric Clapton was one of the main reasons why I left Iran when I was 14 years old, and now I'm getting to play for Eric Clapton in the living room. So we went there, and sure enough, Eric Clapton and there's Phil Collins. They sit on the table on a sofa. And you can imagine how nerve-wracking that could be. I was like really nervous. But we started playing acoustically in the living room. And Clapton was just looking at us going, wow. Like he was like in awe of the music the whole time. And I would say that was a very, very special audience, the two of them.
mm,
Eric Clapton, Phil Collins in the living room. I
wow.
don't think too many guitar players get to perform for audience like that.
Mm-hmm. And so you said that you had generally pretty good receptions for your performances. Can you give me like an idea of how many people like showed up?
Well, different number of people showed up in different venues and different occasions. Like when we played festivals together with other famous names or with famous names. For example, there was a festival that we did in Northern California at Concord Pavilion with George Benson headlining. And we got like 32,000 people.
Mm.
We played at the Montreal Jazz Festival back in 1995. And the night that we performed, they put us on a stage in the center of Montreal. There was 75,000 people. But we also played in the 80s when we played in the clubs in San Fernando Valley. Sometimes there would be 5, 10, 15 people.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very varied. The numbers were very, very different.
I see. Hey, EterniCat listeners, great news. Gelati Gelato Santa Clarita is the official sponsor of this episode of the EterniCat Podcast. Santa Clarita's favorite spot for handcrafted Italian gelato and sorbet is supporting young entrepreneurs and the creativity we share here. They're all about that welcoming vibe and premium flavors while backing the next generation of innovators. To celebrate, they're offering all EterniCat listeners a 15% discount. Just mention EterniCat or show proof of listening, like a screenshot of the episode, when you visit. Thanks to co-owner Daniel and the Gelati Gelato team for this partnership. Stop by, enjoy the deal, and share your favorite flavor in the comments. Let's keep building together. And building right off of that sweet Gelati Gelato support, let's give a huge shout out to LASC SCV Soccer Club, the first ever official sponsor of the EterniCat Podcast. Santa Clarita's premier youth soccer club has been championing young entrepreneurs and the creativity we share here from the very start. They're all about building teamwork, skills, and passion on the field while backing the next generation of innovators off it. Thanks to the entire LASC SCV team for being our pioneering partner, and a big thank you as well to Basilico Pasta e Vino restaurant in Huntington Beach for their amazing support as an additional sponsor. Stop by their fields or enjoy Italian favorites. Share your stories in the comments, and let's keep building together. So even after mastering your craft, how do you keep pushing yourself to explore new sounds and stay creatively curious?
That's a question that every artist gets asked, and it's a very hard question to answer. Uh, it's hard to compete with yourself because you are competing with yourself. Say like I wrote like 3 great tunes last year, and if this year I want to do the same thing, play like 3 more tunes, so then I'm competing with myself. So how do I come up with a new sound? How do I play something that's still me, but it's different enough that a listener that has the old 3 songs still is interested, still wants to have the new ones. It's just for me, it's there's not one a certain way or a particular thing that I can point out. I could hear a drum beat, I could hear a groove, I could hear rhythm, and that could instigate and give me the idea for a song. I could hear a band, a piece of music from a different country. So it's a variety of different things. But one thing that a lot of artists, some artists do, for example, I heard David Gilmour of Pink Floyd say he has a tape recorder on the whole time. So when he's sitting home and he has his guitar in his hand and he just plays around, everything gets recorded. And then he goes back and looks at them, looks at all of these many ideas that came out when he was just playing around or improvising. And then there's always a few good ones that you can pick and elaborate.
Oh.
That's another way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have a deadline. Sometimes you have to come up with an album by such date when you sign to a record company. Then the approach is very different. You just have to do it. You just pick some rhythm and pick something and make a song.
Mm-hmm. You know, I can relate to the feeling of having to compete with yourself because
Yeah.
I'm a writer, and you know I'm always thinking about sequels for my book series Life of the Time Cats. But I imagine it must be much harder for musicians because it's not just words; it's also you also have to create music.
That's right. It's hard. I'm sure it's not easy for you either. But you know that part of competing with yourself is you understand that very well. You know, how do you come up with another subject as interesting as the last one?
Mm-hmm.
So some bands manage to do that very well. The Beatles, for example, during their success during the '60s, the I think the entire time the Beatles were together was not more than 8 or 9 years. The entire time that they were successful. And during that time, I can say I can't think of a Beatles album that's not popular that didn't have a #1 on it.
Mm-hmm.
So they managed it very well.
Yep. All right. So next question. So since our mascot is a cat, we have to ask:
Right.
Are you a cat person? And do animals ever influence your mood or your music?
I'm definitely a cat person. My entire family is cat people. From childhood, we had cats. 1, 2, 3, 4, some cats in the family. And there was a cat at one time that I had. It was a Persian cat that sat on my chest when I was listening to a piece of music back in the '80s, and that gave me an inspiration for a song.
Mm.
Just looking at it. So yeah, there was one instance.
Oh, could you maybe elaborate more on that song that came to your mind?
Um, the cat was like in a very relaxed. He was purring and sitting in my chest, and he was like enjoying the piece of music that I was listening to was a ballad,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I don't know that situation just made me think of how about a ballad? And I went to my guitar and picked up and came up with a song. It never got released. It never got recorded. A lot of the things that we do doesn't get recorded.
Hmm.
I mean, professionally recorded. I never finished recording it, but it's still there, and I may visit it even if it's from the '80s, from that long ago.
Hmm. Okay. So, if you could collaborate with any modern artist from any genre, who would it be and why?
From every modern artist,
Yeah, if you could collaborate with any modern artist.
well, I would love to collaborate with the flamenco guitar players from Spain. They're amazing, and their style, like I said earlier, is very, very similar to our style, to my style of Spanish guitar. And I know Antonio Rey. We know a lot of them. A lot of those guys, a lot of the famous flamenco guitar players in Spain are aware of Transcends. So some of those guys would be great for me to collaborate with.
Mhm.
Antonio Rey and us have had talks with me and Antonio Rey, about doing tunes together. But he lives in Spain and just visits the U.S. like once a year. But it's kind of like fast visit, so he comes, stays for a couple of weeks, and then has to leave. So the timing hasn't worked so far, but hopefully it will.
Mhm. So, what's some of your favorite pieces that you created?
We we get lost in them because we get so involved in the piece, in recording the piece, in every little detail of every piece, that we get too close to them, and we don't let it go until it gets to a point where we love it. So our pieces to us is, is like our children. It's hard to say I like one better than the other. You know, for an artist, the creation is very different. A,
Mhm.
a song that I make or I record or Stranza Ferrer records to us is very different when you listen to them than when public listens to them. So I can't really say I have any favorites because every song of us or of mine that I listen to, it just reminds me of all the work that I did, and we always make sure that we do our best for every composition,
Mhm.
every recorded piece.
Yeah. But do you think there are any pieces that maybe have done more well than other pieces, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. There's some of the pieces that we have 3 albums. Um, the first one came out the end of 1990. It's called Primal Magic, and at that time, the jazz radio in the United States was open to that sound. It became open to that sound for 3 or 4 years, and Primal Magic. The timing of Primal Magic was perfect because it was right in the end of 1990. That got on the radio. There was a piece on it called Bola that was very popular. Another piece called Twilight at the Zouk that was popular. And then after that, our sixth album was called Americas, which is the three continents of Americas. And there was a tune on it called Al Hawar, the Jaguar. That became very popular. It was on the radio for 3 or 4 times a day.
Oh.
And right now, it's the album after that that's called Heat of the Sun that shows up. The tunes on Heat of the Sun show up on the website of our aggregator, of our distributor, as always being the top ones. One is called Hardin, another one's called Dark Fire, and the Heat of the Sun itself. So there's a few of them that the good thing is that people, different people like different pieces. If everybody just said one, this is the best piece, that means that there's something you've done something right only in one piece, and the others may have problems. But I like to see people have different favorites, and they do. Everybody that I see has a different favorite, different period of Strands and Farah, different album, and different pieces.
Coming up this April in Valencia, you'll be performing with pianist and composer Oksana Kolesnikova, who happens to be my mother. How did this collaboration come about, and what kind of magic do you think the audience will experience that night?
Well, your dad is a very good friend of mine. He saw us play in Florida back in the 90s, a long time ago. And through him, I met your mom. She's an amazing musician, an amazing person. She is from Russia. She has classical training and has an amazing background in classical music. And I've heard her play. And that style of music, classical music, the way Oksana plays, is very, very different than the kind of music we're going to be playing with my friend who's going to be at that show, Luis Viegas. So I'm looking forward to two completely different styles of music going together. We're going to do one song together. And that's going to be a challenge to fuse the two very different styles.
Oh, wait, so what song are you planning on performing together?
You want the name of the songs? We haven't thought about it yet.
Oh,
It's in April.
okay.
Usually we do a set list a few days before the show. But it will probably be some of my songs. For like Firuze is one of my songs that we always perform. That was on the Strands and Farah album back in 2018 called Tales of Two Guitars. And another song that we performed, Twilight at the Souk, was on Primal Magic. We're going to definitely be playing that one. Those two I'm sure we're going to be doing. But the rest we haven't decided yet.
All right. So that's it for today. So thanks for joining me on the EterniCat Podcast.
Sure. It was a pleasure talking to you, Alessandro. And I'm glad that you have interest in music and in guitar and in cats. And I love your cat. It's very cute.
Yeah. Thanks. So last time, with my last guest, we were talking about my signature sign off, and I finally came up with one. So ready? It's Stay Ambitious Felines.